Why did it take him so long?
It's live.
I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
Yeah, we are the CRM Players. Just had to
It
check.
does actually take time to remember that these days, I have to say.
Yeah, you would think after 500,000 consecutive weeks of saying it,
I know.
we'd remember it at this point.
And 20 million actual verbalizations of the term.
What's really weird is that on my side of things, it's still saying it isn't going live yet.
Wow. Mine saying live.
And finally, now it just said live. But
Amazing.
you know who never is late, who's always got our back, the one and only.
Sven. Yay. Now I actually
And
feel like the show can start.
well, to be honest, this comment was here about 5 minutes before the show was actually going to start.
But if you actually look at the comments, he says it 3 times.
Three
Right.
times.
Yeah, at 2:57, at 3:02, and at 3:03.
He really wanted to make sure he had that first comment in.
He got it. It's yours, Sven. You are
All
the,
right.
as always, champ. Latin.
So, what exactly is this language?
It's Latin. It's
What
got
does
to
it
be.
mean?
I don't know. All. Well, I see. Omnes, I think, means all. Mutatio, I don't know. I'm afraid what that might mean. Vera, as far as I know, is somebody's name. So it means Vera mutated. Vera mutated, and because she loves all the CRM players. That's what it's.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, it's as good as I'm going to get.
Sven, if you could give us the translation, thank you very much.
We would appreciate it.
Wait, what is he saying? Thomas was the first one.
Not in the comment stream, kiddo.
I'm not
You
seeing
were.
it.
Thomas isn't showing up as a comment, so
Nope.
sorry, Sven, you win.
Sorry, you win. That sounds funny.
Yeah. See, true transformation takes. Oh, whoa, that's a beauty.
You know what? He's still trying to get the tagline.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's your so far that's your best tagline. So,
All right. So it is a beautiful Thursday afternoon here in Atlanta.
here too.
No complaints. No complaints. And
Nope.
definitely no complaints because we have another guest that has been on before. You know him well.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Good
we want
man.
Matter of fact, the reason I want to tell you who he is right now and show you
Okay.
the picture.
I know
Because
why.
I tell you, Hayden Stafford is our guest. He'll be coming on shortly. But I just got to tell you, there's a couple of things I like about this little promo pic here. First of all, let me do this. Let me get rid of something.
I
Or
know.
maybe people will understand something's different about this promo than all the other promos before.
I gotta tell you, if they can't figure it out right this second, then they're pretty stupid. I have to say, we have a really stupid audience if they can't figure this out.
So with that all said, we are introducing a brand new CRM Players logo. Or as you can see, it's more of a refresh. Right?
So much better.
I really like it. It was time for a refresh.
Yes, it was.
Wasn't this like do you remember how we got this particular logo? The one we've been using for 13 years?
Nope. My memory doesn't go that far back. No.
Wow.
I don't.
If I give you a name?
I probably won't, but go ahead, try. I mean, I probably won't remember anyway.
No, I'll give you a company name. Radian 6.
Well, I don't. I mean, I know obviously I remember them, but I don't remember how did they do it for us?
They did do this for us.
Really?
David, what's David's last name?
Alston.
David Alston.
Yeah. Now entrepreneur in residence for the province of New Brunswick.
Him. He was the one that actually, I don't know if he did it himself but he maybe
Oh,
had somebody do this logo for us,
was was
like 2009.
was this done for the rock stars of social CRM, or
It
was
might
it
have been
just
around
done?
that time frame because if you notice, it does have a striking resemblance to that. Now that you mention it, but anyway, this is our new or our refreshed. Let me get rid of. There it is. I like it. I like the
I do too.
colors.
Colors are
It just looks
beautiful,
nice. It jumps out at you a little bit.
and it's
But I think, yeah,
playful.
and it's playful. Now the only thing there was a tagline that our really great designer, you know, gave us. So she gave us this beautiful refresh design, and then she added a tagline. Now she's not in the CRM universe,
No,
so the tagline. How would you say we uh, like the tagline, or
well,
how
I
do
guess the best way to put it, most polite way to put it was we didn't.
you? All right. She's a great designer, though.
She's
Chanel
insanely
Wheeler,
great. I will tell
very
you
good.
that she's so good that she also did the videos for me for our, for PPN's show, Engage with Paul Greenberg and Kenny Lauer. And I showed it to a different Paul Greenberg who happens to be a professional in that world, in the world of digital video and mainstream entertainment, like A&E. He was a GM at A&E Network and things like that. And he'll be on the show next month. But I showed it to him thinking, oh, well, he's a pro. He's going to be able to give it the look, because he had people paid millions of dollars in salaries to do this kind of stuff over time. And he looked at it and said, wow, that's terrific.
So
So
you need to get
Chanel,
3 other Paul Greenberg's opinion. Then you could say 4 out of 5 Paul Greenbergs agree.
well, I could do that, actually.
You really could do that.
I actually could do that. I know those Paul Greenberg. I know enough Paul Greenbergs to make this a quadrumvirate,
Wow.
a
Well, since
cabal,
we're throwing
or a
Latin
cabal.
in there, wasn't there a triumvirate that was
The
kind of a big
triumvirate,
deal?
quadrumvirate. Then there's cabals. I could make this a cabal.
Wow.
The
We
PG
better stop
cabal.
at the cabal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Take me out
call
to
a
the
flag
cabal
there.
game. Take me
Yeah.
out to the cabal game.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty much
That's bad.
once I said it, he literally
Yeah,
thought the
that's
same thing.
McHale level bad. That is that
No,
bad.
no,
It
it's
is really bad.
not. Nothing
Okay.
is that bad.
Now, all right. So we would love a really good tagline to go with this beautifully designed, refreshed logo of ours. So if you could use the comment section, throw out a tagline for us. We're looking, I think we want to, have something that, we provide a lot of, we think we provide a lot of good information, but we also think we have a little fun doing this. So we would love a tagline that encompasses the information and the fun, so that when you think of the CRM players, bam, this tagline. So use the comment section, throw something out there, and we will. I don't know. Do we want to have a drawing, or do we just want to take it all in and then announce if there was a winner?
Well, if we get it, we'll take it all in. If there was a winner, there will be a prize. I have one I can give them that nobody else wants.
Oh, I know exactly what that price is. Okay,
So I
that's
actually have a
cool.
decent prize for somebody in mind. So
It is a
if
decent prize. It's
no,
more than
that one,
decent, actually.
it actually is a very good thing. But I'll give them something else besides that. That
Okay,
that they'll take in addition to the actual prize.
blueberry bagels.
Not exactly.
Nah,
That's for the
that's not-
ones we don't pick. I'll give them a blueberry bagel each.
Okay, so put some taglines in. We really would love to see what you guys come up with, or what you think of us. I don't know if I really want to know that now that I just said it out loud there, but give it a shot. Okay. Now, before we bring on a guest, you can see who our guest is. And I wanted to pop this picture up, not just because of the logo. That's just a cool picture of Hayden.
Totally cool picture.
Did it look like when I first saw this picture, and this is no kidding, I thought of like Billy Graham, like he's preaching to the masses. He's on the sea mountaintop, looking over the sea, and he's got this. I don't know what those things are behind his head. Like it looks sort of like distorted stars or something, but he looks
Yeah.
like he's preaching.
Although there is this one thing that's a little disturbing about this one, which
what's
is that thing in his hand.
That's a
So
clicker.
my thought was, well, yeah, but my thought was, okay, if you shoot, I let this go, the bomb will go off.
Wow.
Right, literally one of those.
So wait a minute. I'm
a
thinking
trigger.
Sermon on the
He's holding-
Mount,
and
you're
I'm
thinking
thinking he's holding
Unabomber or something.
He's holding a trigger.
That's a pretty wide spectrum from that picture. Okay.
Well, we'll ask him which one it was.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
Yeah, I'm pretty
But
sure I know the answer. Neither, but
before we ask him, two quick things.
Okay.
I was trying to find that Sarah McLachlan music, for that really sad sounding music because of the passing of CNN Plus.
Yeah, but that music is so depressing. Like I literally stopped watching commercials with that song, right? Just because I hate it.
I know, dude. But I think I might have to take a little credit in the demise of CNN Plus because
I think you're responsible.
Kind of brutal. Yeah, I mean, seriously, guys, who in their right mind wanted to pay a monthly subscription fee to hear more Wolf Blitzer, Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, and whoever else is over there? Because that's what you were getting. That was what they were advertising. More shows with those dudes. Who in their right mind would want to pay for that?
It's like you get the thing I was figuring, maybe with CNN Plus, you would get like a free tour of the Situation Room.
I would like a free tour of whoever does the breaking news thing, because everything that shows up on that network is breaking news.
Well, I'll give them credit for one thing.
Wait, was it breaking news? Was it breaking news on CNN today that they had to announce that CNN Plus was dying? Now that would have been funny.
That would that would have been right. No, they'll say breaking news, but you can only get it on CNN Plus.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it was kind of sad news. No, it was just news, not breaking, just news that it's gone away. All right. One last thing. Today, 6 years ago today, in my humble opinion, the greatest musician of all time passed away unexpectedly, Prince. I remember being at it was a SAS event in Vegas. So I'm 3 hours behind the East Coast. And all of a sudden I started getting all these text messages, people asking me, am I okay? And is it real?
I was one of them.
I was like, what the heck are they talking about? Then I turned on the TV. It was all over the news. Prince had been found dead. I tell you, that was outside of like family members. That was the toughest piece of news, unexpected news I think I ever got. I think I was in a funk for at least a month while, trying to process that one. That was 6 years ago today. Literally, it was a Thursday 6 years ago.
That's absolutely amazing. It's been that long already.
Yeah, it doesn't feel, it doesn't really feel like it, but yeah, I remember how that felt. That was a rough, I don't think I spoke to anybody on that whole flight. I was just.
I know, I get it. Believe me, when Mickey Mantle passed, it was like that. First I cried in the morning when he passed, and my brother did the same. He told me. So did a lot of people. It was our hero, right? But I went into the place I was working at, and everybody's coming up to me and saying, "We're so sorry. Are you all right?" No. And I had to start laughing. I said, I actually wasn't related to him.
That's right. How it felt for me too. It was like, people were worried for me, you know.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it, but I was like, I just didn't really want to talk to anybody. Anyway, 6 years ago, that was tough. All right, more positive news. You see the picture? We're about to get the Sermon on the Mount or the Unabomber. I don't know. We'll figure that one out. But I leave it to the venerable Paul Greenberg for the official intro.
So, hold on. Let me go get him. Be right back. Right. So, this one, of course, is, as always, a fave. This is Hayden Stafford, is somebody I've known for years. He ran global sales for Microsoft Dynamics and just kicked butt when it came to like exceeding the numbers that he was supposed to have, and he did it by building this extraordinary staff that loved him. Everybody loved Hayden. He's one of these guys who could get everything that he planned done with a smile the whole time. Then he went to Pega to become president of all client services there, and just recently, and that's one of the things we want to talk to him about, is moved over to Seismic, which is one of the companies that are in effect, in part darlings of the industry they're in, and we'll get into that. Become president and CRO there. He is not only an extraordinary executive, he's just a cool guy, great guy, and one of these people that you just love hanging out with when you get the chance. So with that, our buddy Hayden Stafford, there he is.
There
and
he
he's got
is.
really,
The Right
his hair
Reverend.
is red. The Right
Hayden
Reverend
Stafford.
Hayden Stafford, aka the Mad Bomber.
Oh, he's got his clicker.
This is actually a cell phone holder, so
That's all right. Close enough. Close enough.
it was definitely.
Thanks
not
for joining
the-
us,
not
and
the
congratulations on the new gig, man.
Thank you. Thanks, Brent. And hey, you're talking about 6 years ago today. I remember that day as clear as everything. That is my wife's ultimate, total favorite artist. She was like you. She mourned for weeks. Loved Prince, and I like him. She dragged me to a few of his shows. Not dragged, but brought me. And amazing how time flies, because that does feel like yesterday, Brent.
And
Yeah.
so while all this is happening to show the skies are mourning, the Yankees loaded the bases with no outs and didn't score, and they're losing 1-0 in the 7th inning.
Ouch.
Yeah, okay, yeah, ouch is right. So
Jeez.
I'm reporting the game.
A live feed. Thank you.
Yeah, oh my
Got
God,
music,
it's
we
so
got
annoying.
sports, we got
So
CRM
if
industry.
I growl during this conversation, you'll know why.
Hey, Paul, can you keep me abreast of the Guardian score while you're at it?
Yeah, I'll take care of that now. They're winning 4-3 in the top of the 7th.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I'll keep you posted.
We got it
All right.
all here.
That's right.
I got a
Wait,
bucket,
wait.
we have a bucket in my house where we throw a quarter every time we say Indian. So trying to get past that and call them the right
Guardian.
name. Yep.
I don't know.
Does that count that you just said it while you were explaining that, or?
Damn it. Yes. Yes, it does.
Oh, really? Well, don't you get a passage on the public
You're right.
airway?
'Cause I said it correctly the first time.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
You did. And not only that, you were explaining the reason why you don't say the other one.
That's
But
absolutely.
a lot of people who are not like diehard baseball fans wouldn't know what the other one was. So basically, you did it in a very academic way.
Academic.
And-
Thank you. Not often a term used with me, Paul, but sure.
Well, Brent and I.
That picture you had up there, there's a funny story. My hair was much longer then. Maybe we can get into it later. That was taken at a pros, the user conference for pros.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, that is where we met.
That's the event I literally met you at.
That's right. That's where that's from.
Did they meaningfully put those kind of starish kind of things behind to make you look like you're looking out?
Kind of like a glow, angelic, if you will.
Oh, look the infamous Esteban Kolsky is here. You know,
Yeah, but what does he mean? He means
I
to
don't know
say
what that means.
he means. I think he's referring to the Guardian's prior name.
I think.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think.
He'll let us.
Yeah, he must be. He must be. I can't imagine. All
He'll
right,
let us.
so let's get into this. Let's get into it. Why can't the Yankees score? No, okay. So Seismic. Okay, look, aside from Seismic itself, what fascinates me about this is all of a sudden, so you're over at Seismic. I've had a peripheral relationship with the company over the years, but I started looking a little more into it, obviously, the minute you went there. And so I found, of course, that their focus is around revenue intelligence. Just prior to that, I'd spoken with the people at Gong, Julian Savage, former Salesforce guys there, revenue intelligence. While we were on a happy hour a few months ago, Eric Charles, who was the exactly vice president of, I don't know what his full title is, but vice president of something
with
else.
Japan, isn't it?
Well, he's in Japan now, but he's actually vice president of communications. You know, he kind of runs globe PR, AR kind of stuff. So he mentions it exactly as moving from sales performance management to revenue intelligence. I've been on briefings with a number of the key big four vendors, you know, the usual suspects. The only one not in this one is Adobe, so it's the other four.
Yep.
And at least three of the four, the one that I haven't heard it from is it's SAP, but the other three have all talked at some level revenue intelligence, right? Salesforce and Oracle more than Microsoft, and SAP not at all so far. Doesn't mean they're not involved, but and then I start looking around, and there's a number of smaller players in revenue intelligence. So the question is, what the hell is it, and why? Why revenue intelligence?
Well, there's a lot of new names out there, Paul. I think for the ecosystem around CRM, Seismic really falls into sales enablement, but you get this blurring of, from a clarity kind of top of the funnel forecasting. Then there's us and some of our competitors squarely in the enablement, effectiveness, sales enablement. And then the revenue intelligence are the Gongs of the world and the courses and things like that. And I think all of that is starting to fall into that category. But I think we fit squarely in the sales and not even sales, just enablement function of that revenue intelligence. Because if you think about it, all those pieces come together and it gives you more insight and intelligence into your revenue and where your revenue is coming from.
So does that mean, for example, and I don't know if this is true or not, I'm just sort of raising it, but does that mean you would typically not compete with, say, Gong?
We do not. We partner with Gong. We absolutely partner with Gong. They are a very good partner of ours. Yes.
Oh, okay. So why don't you deep dive a little bit into Seismic itself? Because you're a really interesting company. I think people don't understand that you're bigger than they probably think you are. You were actually a fairly large company, and there goes Esteban. Okay. Well, yeah. That's
he's right. It's the new term. I think I've heard revenue intelligence more times in the last 4 months than I have in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's like everywhere now. But again, when I was doing my research on customer engagement when I was writing my book, I found 27 different tech categories that fit the term customer engagement, meaning the companies in that category were claiming customer engagement. And those 27, none of them really competed with each other, right? But they all said customer engagement, right? Which is, then you get into category confusion, right?
Absolutely.
Which is another
big issue. That's new. I mean, well, that's the thing. You still ask somebody what CRM is. You ask 10 different people, you get 20 different answers. I still don't know the math on that, but it works.
So true.
But that's what I'm afraid of for revenue intelligence too, because I'm starting to see again. So you say you focus on enablement, exactly focused on. Well, they went from compensation to sales performance management.
That's right.
To revenue intelligence. Gong, I get to their credit, it's always been revenue intelligence, but some of the others are just adding it as one of the parts of their suites, whatever they call it.
Yep.
So can you kind of sort of place Seismic where it belongs in that whole thing?
Absolutely. I would place us, if you were to drop us in a bucket that people know and heard of, I'd put us more in the square in the CRM bucket. And I mean this when I say it. It's not just as the chief revenue officer, but if there are seats of CRM, there ought to be an equal number of seats of Seismic. We simply provide the right content to the right seller, the right person at the right time. So CRM has all the records, all the information about the client, the sales stage, who's who at the client. Our intelligence within our system says, right, okay. And by the way, fully integrated into Salesforce, fully integrated into Microsoft Dynamics, fully integrated HubSpot, et cetera. It brings the intelligence. It is the give to the seller that the get of CRM is from the seller, from the standpoint of based on prior wins, based on similar looking sales pursuits, these assets, these solutions, these pitches, these documents had a high propensity of winning in other similar situations. Use them here. So from a content management standpoint, it is bringing the right document to that specific point in time. But there's more. It's about also creating the content, right? Not like just giving you a document, giving the ability to create documentation that is managed and controlled by the company's narrative so that you're not drifting off on your own narrative of what the value prop is. And think in banking as an example, which is a large part of our business. We are in all of the top banks. Every quarter, they have to update all of their sales pitches, fund performance, how the business is doing. Somebody has to update all those documents. How did we do? How do we do against the competition, against the S&P index? Someone has to go in and type all that in and then update it and got to be compliant. That's where Seismic comes into the CRM. Is not only do we provide the documentation, live updates called live docs. So instead of someone having to type all this up and be exposed from a risk standpoint of having the wrong data or the last quarter's data, it's automatically created for the team. So it's live document creation and serving that right document at the right time based on where the seller is in their sales cycle.
I have one sort of interesting question on that. So does your provision of those documents come with, and this might sound like an odd question, but come with an audit trail?
No question. So absolutely, yes. I mean, that's why we got our start within banking, because, there everything is audited and controlled.
Yeah.
No doubt. And we work, you don't have to work within Seismic per se. You could work within SharePoint or, your Google documents or documents in any repository you have. But we're that engine, when used properly, we're that engine who can then associate the sales assets, be it a pitch book, be it a first call deck, be it a competitive overview differentiator, bringing it to the right sales stage, the right recommendation. Absolutely. Version management, Esteban. That's one thing I always was so impressed with when I worked at Salesforce with Benioff and crew. This was years ago. Everybody knew the pitch. Everybody knew the narrative. There was no discrepancy on the value prop or the differentiator, from Mark right on down to the individual contributor. So many other companies have a mass proliferation of content. You're like, what's the right document? What about the right data? Because some of the stuff people sell is based on data specifics. Is this last quarter's data? Is this last year's? So yeah, version control. Absolutely. That's at the core of our business.
Okay.
How does
Go ahead.
how's this change the relationships between, well, salespeople and non-salespeople who are looking to create more opportunities for revenue?
So you would mean marketing folks, customer success people, the partner team. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm really interested in the kind of the relationships that this helps to, I assume, bring together to create the revenue, to
Yeah.
create maybe even new opportunities that maybe something like this people wouldn't be able to kind of generate.
Yeah. So our vision, so we have, like every company, we have a mission, vision, and values. Our vision is to empower teams to grow and win. So it kind of really fits in with exactly what you said. And let me tell you what that means. So think about your sales cloud. You have a sales cloud, you have a marketing cloud, and you might have a service cloud. Where's the engine that sits in there to make sure that everybody is seeing the right marketing collateral, the right, and maybe even add in your PRM system, right, for your partners, your partner system. Who's making sure that we're hitting the right point? New products, new value prop, key differentiator versus our competitor. That intersection of those three clouds, it's exactly where we would sit. Right? I mean, I mentioned to you what our vision is. Our mission is to ignite growth, and it's whether you're in sales or you're in marketing. Because the marketing common complaint is, we create all this great content, and then it just gets disseminated and it goes everywhere. I mean, at one of my former employers, I won't say which one, I'd go to a content repository and the link would be dead, or the link was uploaded by a person who was actually dead, had died 3 years prior, right, as the SME for the document. You can't have that in a world where stuff is so dynamic and changing and competition is one-upping you. And that's really where our value proposition is. It's there to empower that teams grow and win together.
So right now, how many of the companies that you're targeting, beyond your current customers, are struggling with that? Because it seems like that should be the biggest struggle right now going on, trying to bring all these clouds together, because there's a lot of silos, there's a lot of ownership. Don't tread on me. How do you help manage that, or help break down those silos and the ownership dilemmas? Because these folks just really are very territorial when it comes to what they own.
You're so right. Content's coming from marketing, it's coming from engineering, and then it might be coming from corporate marketing or corporate sales or regional marketing and regional sales. And I think the death of an effective sales cycle is deviation from being on point, the company strategy. So there's a cool feature that exists within Seismic. So I talked about a couple of products, and I don't want to get into product stuff, but imagine being able to send a document to your client. It could be from the marketing team or the engineering team, but it is reposed, maintained, managed, refreshed within Seismic. And not just sending the document and knowing that document helps close the deal, but knowing that our client who we sent that to looked at it for this amount of time, but spent 65% of their time looking at page 4. And then we won the deal, and we know, okay, there's something on page 4 that's really interesting. So let's look at that. And that's the compete battle card, making that up. Then we know, or the client knows, our clients know, all right, clients are clearly zeroing in on the differentiator stuff. So maybe we now go build more stuff on competitive differentiation. So it's not just content attribution, it's content insights, Brent. And I will say, give the company, I've only been here for 6 weeks. I'll give our company hats off on intelligence within the product. You know, CSMs, every SaaS company have CSMs, customer success teams. The data that is thrown off by our technology, the telemetry, is unbelievable. I mean, you can figure out correlation of product or page versus client, their title, and use that with the client to help guide them. So one of our biggest clients is a very, very big technology company, very big, that you know. They have a whole team that looks at this data and uses it to shape their future document creation, their future content based on attribution to the success or failure of prior documents in the sales cycle.
What about, all right, so given that you're constantly, in effect, moving appropriate comment to where it belongs, and at the same time, you're dealing with for vastly different requirements that are, let's say, implemented along the way. So, for example, pharmaceuticals, banking, legal, all need audit trails, right? And when you move a document, but on the other hand, companies, let's say, on the other hand, you have companies that are moving, let's say, heavyweight kind of documents like manufacturing or something like that. Then you have B2C companies that are moving consumer-based, documents or whatever, consumer-based content that are just, could be just marketing collateral, could be more, could be just informative, could be a camera manual.
Right.
But so do you have an industries-based strategy that kind of handles the fact that each of them has different kind of both legal and regulatory requirements, or not so many? For example, I mean, it's not necessarily based on that alone, but do you have an industry strategy? Do you have strength? Obviously, you've mentioned banking, so I assume you're pretty strong there. But do you have that kind of strategy? Because to me, it's very tricky.
Yeah. The answer to that is yes and no, more on the no side. Remember, we're relatively small and we're growing fast. That was one of the things that attracted me here. Our fourth quarter, very high double-digit growth, nearing triple digit, 50% plus growth for the year, and about $300 million of recurring revenue today. Unbelievable. I mentioned it to Paul in the past. Net retention and gross retention, industry best in class, because of the value that we bring to our clients. So we're relatively small, and we're maturing, right? And that's one of the pieces that I want to bring to this business, Paul, to your question. We're really good in banking, particularly asset management, wealth management, getting more and more at bats now. Excuse the baseball pun. By
the way, 6-3. You're up 6-3.
Awesome. I guess I got to be on the Playaz more often. Good
Keep running scores.
But in areas like pharma, I know we've dabbled there at life sciences. We are very large in banking, like large percentage of our revenue. The next closest is high tech. Generally because technology sales is complicated solution sales, which requires, it's more than selling widgets. I would very much love to see us, Paul, get to the point where we have industry thought leadership in verticals that you talk about that have these high requirements on audit trails and regulation.
Well, to that point, first, Hearsay made a good living, so to speak, not just with the fact that they're last mile, but that they were dealing with highly regulated industries. and they did very well with that specific focus. Secondly, many years ago, there was this local company here. It was my client, actually created by nuclear scientists, interestingly enough, but they created this technology which tied Siebel to, I think it was Documentum, and they had a huge presence in pharma. Like out of the top 25, 24 of them used this product. And the product basically was powerful because, think it was Siebel call center. Someone calls in, requests medical information. If you send them the wrong medical information, your industry, the industry's down. I mean, your company is over if you give them the wrong information, and a lawsuit will ensue, right? So this thing would not only get them the right information, but had every possible auditing requirement embedded fully. And you literally sound like the let's call it the vast actually evolution of that what I used to deal with all the time, and I think you're incredibly well suited for those kind of industries.
I think so too, Paul. But as a smaller company with not limited, but finite resources,
right,
we have so much upside in the accounts we already have, the clients that we already have. Our goal right now is to continue to grow with where we're at, and not. I think the death of a lot of companies as they start reaching scale is starting to bifurcate focus and spread themselves too thin. There is no doubt you and I are thinking alike, and I think down the road we'll get there. But at the rate we're growing, the amount of people we're bringing in, the client growth we've got, I think there's just still enough white space for us within the space we're in. I mean, do you realize we're triple the size of our nearest customer, or double to triple of our nearest competitor?
Wow.
So our goal right now is keep doing what we're doing well. And then clearly your mindset is absolutely in the right place.
Okay.
Are your customers coming to you to try to be more efficient and try to, maybe standardize on their sales process to just drive more revenue with what they know and be more efficient about it? Or are they looking to create new revenue streams and optimize those new revenue streams?
I think it's more of the former. And so I don't want to throw any companies under the bus, but there are several public companies that have just in the last quarter stated in their earnings, companies you guys know, that have said, we've had mass resignation, what is it called? The Great Resignation. We've made a lot of investments in sales, and now we have to get the productivity out of our sales teams. It's about productivity. And they're saying that in their annual reports, in their earnings reports. It's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we do. So it is about getting more productivity out of what you have. And another interesting point on that, Brent, our clients, we have three personas we can enter through. Heads of sales, which is one of the reasons why I took the job. There's many reasons, but I speak to people like me. Just yesterday, I met with a client. I met with the head of sales. We have the same problems. That's one thing. The other one is head of marketing. How many heads of marketing are pulling their hair out that we create all this content and no one uses it? So that's another persona. And something, I don't know if you've seen it or heard it with your other guests. I can tell you, my former company, we made this move. A lot of companies are now hiring heads of enablement, like enterprise enablement leaders. My old Microsoft has a global head of enablement. A prior one, we just hired a global head of enablement. Companies are recognizing that harnessing the power of the individual and kind of institutionalizing the individual's knowledge so that everyone else can benefit from it is a necessity. So for us, it's heads of marketing, heads of enablement, and heads of sales.
Huh. So how do you deal with the fact that, well, actually, your other part of your title, CRO, is literally the epitome of what I'm about to talk about. One of the trends that gets constantly discussed is actually a trend as opposed to another hyped up nothing, is alignment of sales and marketing. And that goes back a ways.
Yeah.
But the fact is, that's kind of, I don't know if accelerated a great deal over the last few years to becoming something that at least companies that are reasonably large, they don't have to be, not so much on the smaller side, but companies that are reasonably large are just doing. I mean,
Yes.
it's not like, oh, this is new. It's just part of what they do. So, marketing now gets revenue objectives. You have to, and so there's rules of engagement between the two. There's,
Totally.
there's authorizations that have to go on. If a salesperson wants to change collateral, as in the past where he just changed collateral and didn't bother to tell anybody,
Exactly.
right? Now he's got to tell somebody in marketing, and marketing at the same time can respond better to sales about, we need something more specific, blah, 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 blah. But all of this is going on, which actually, given 2 of your 3 entry points are specifically the people involved in that, how do you, and the other thing is it changes the nature of how content gets pushed. So for example, in the past, marketing was, I always used to call it the first line of engagement, but it's not just that anymore at all. It's the first and the second line, so to speak, meaning, study after study goes out and says, from people who closed, who actually bought, went with some specific vendor. So, well, the reason we went with them is they got us the information we need when we needed it. And there was a 65, this is an older study, but it said 65% of the people who were asked that question said that was one of the primary reasons they closed the deal with that company, because they got the information they needed when they needed it. But that's also marketing. Content distribution becomes different than what it was, and even the creation becomes somewhat different. How do you handle that? Because it sounds like that's what you do, but it's not just like a switch you turn on. I mean, it's something you got to.
It is exactly what we do. And our most successful implementations is when marketing and sales are aligned, right? Because marketing used to be brand, and it was not about digital marketing and fill the top of the funnel and engagement tracking and engagement metrics. And also, you're seeing a lot of companies where marketing falls under the chief revenue officer. And so that accountability of revenue lays on marketing, and marketing holds sales accountable for consumption of the engagement from the events or the demand generation, et cetera. So our most successful clients are the ones where the marketing team owns the content. And when I told you we build documents, it literally generates the document itself. Pick and choose from the files, the charts, the disclaimers, all the things that you'd put in a deck. When marketing owns that content and is constantly updating it, because think about it, a company's number of $1 million customers is something some companies like to advertise. That needs to be updated on their charts, logos, based on industry verticals. If marketing owns the content and are the curators, sales does not need to worry about it. They are fed via Seismic into the CRM application of the seller in the sales stage where that document is needed, whether it's early stage, first call deck, to late stage, final proposal and pricing.
I imagine Oracle would be very interested in talking to you if you don't already, just so you know. So what's the smallest company you'll deal with? Like what's kind of your minimum requirement to really make what you do work?
I'm glad you asked that question, because people tend to think that we're an SMB company. We are almost entirely enterprise.
That's what I would think.
We're in the largest banks in the world. We're in the largest tech companies in the world. We're an enterprise company. We struggled earlier in our life as a company because we used to be single SKU, and what we tried to do is just dumb down by discounting our single SKU and sell into the low end of the market. we've added more SKUs. And as you know, Paul, we've made some acquisitions, Grapevine 6, as you know, and some other acquisitions. But we made a great acquisition last summer called Lessonly. I doubt you've ever heard of them. They're a small learning company, like for learning and learning management systems. So think about that. When you onboard someone into a company, there's content for training and learning. If that then is fed into your ongoing sales enablement, it's just an extension of always having the right content in the right place at the right time. So this company is Lessonly. They're based out of Indianapolis. Really big, found a lot of people from Exact Target and others in Indy came to this company, boom in business. We bought them last year. They were pure SMB. So when you add their SKU, as well as our kind of SMB mid-market SKU, which is a lighter version of Core Seismic, we now have a very robust SMB motion. And we have these cool things here, where these alerts, we call them push pins, when there's a win. I mean, our SMB low end mid-market is a very vibrant segment for us, and I see them daily. So we get companies buying Lessonly just for 10-person companies training for when you want to onboard somebody, and then they quickly move into sales, because everyone's got a CRM system plugging in the CRM. So we are definitely moving downstream now that we've got the technology, the solutions, and the SKUs.
I think you're literally the first company who's ever said that you're moving downstream.
Yeah,
we never hear that.
Well, some try, but their rendition of trying is we'll just try to retrofit what we already have and
exactly
scale it down and not really cater it to the actual needs. But
exactly.
So we've been in this 2.5 year. I don't know. I like to say the plague has hit and changed everything, and it changed the definition of what digital transformation was before the plague and what it is after the plague. But how is, this transformation of a transformation, how does that fit what you offer these folks? Because it seems like there's a lot of moving parts. They should have been moving before the plague. They are definitely moving because of the plague. And how do you help them shape what needs to happen going forth once we're finally past the plague?
That is a great question. And there's two answers. I'm glad you brought it because I would have forgotten it. I think the plague or the pandemic, COVID, helped our business tremendously. Think about old sales teams. They would get together on onboarding together, and they'd go to the office around the water cooler, look over the cube. Hey, I just lost this. I won this. What document do you use? Now everyone's federated. Everyone's at home. Now the need for enablement and best practices and best content is greater than ever. It's greater than ever. And then you add in the great resignation, right? The turnover. And in so many companies, the ramp to productivity is so critical in getting people productive, in months, not years. When you're integrating your onboarding learning systems with your enablement systems, this stuff brings real tangible ROI to compressing that. So that's one thing, Brent. The other one thing that I would say is companies spend a lot of money digitizing, forced digital transformation over the last 2 years. And I think if you were to ask, the Salesforces of the world, the Microsofts, the HPs, the IBMs, they would all tell you what we're seeing now is companies going, oh my God, I bought a lot of stuff because I had to. Now I need to start optimizing it. Now we need to start focusing on rationalizing, optimizing, and automating it as much as we can. And that is our sweet spot, playing right in there.
All right. Well, we're reaching that time. We've asked you the question, and you're on the second time, so the answer was fine, right? Right. So you're safe. So how about?
In other words, you're not a Patriots fan.
Right. That's what we're trying to say in a nice way. Right. The very fact you're on again shows you're not a Patriots fan. There is no again for a Patriots fan. They can fool us once, but that's it.
But our second biggest office is Boston. I was there last week. I saw a lot of Patriot stuff, and it kind of made my skin crawl.
Why don't you? Well, look, your president's hero. Just ban it.
You know what?
Ban it.
You could do one
out.
of these numbers here. Let me bring this up. You could get that strike like you're, and instead of saying, I bring to you these 10 commands, you could say, I banish you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thou shall not.
Look, I mean, that's a perfect. You got the power, man. Use it. Right. I would listen. Here's what I would do if I was. This is why I'm not president and CRO of any company, because I would just say, first of all, everyone in Boston is going to our new office in Vermont, right? And secondly, there will be no Patriots anything in that new office.
And thirdly, you have to wear a Yankees jersey.
Oh no, I'm not an authoritarian like that.
Not like that.
No, in different ways. You can. It's just you can't wear a Patriots outfit of any kind, or have Patriots gear, or have something on your desk. Not even a bobblehead. And if we catch you looking at a Patriots score, then you won't be fired because we're not, totally evil. We'll just sort of let's say lock you up in your office for 3 weeks.
We'll just consider it in your annual performance, right?
Right, exactly.
How about Tom Brady retiring for 20 days? And the poor guy who bought for $500,000.
Yeah, but did you see what happened?
No.
They voided the sale.
Oh, I missed that.
Really?
Yeah, the auction house. Yeah, about 5 days ago, the auction house voided the sale and said they had to give the money had to come back to this guy.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah, the right thing to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Right thing to do.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was thinking, oh wow, Brady lost his pocket change. His $500,000 pocket change. I don't know. That guy, his ego is just too much for me. Well, you saw the story around that now, which was he was going to go to Miami, I think, and he was going to be part of the Dolphins management team, and
I think they were going to give him a piece of the ownership too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a slippery slope. You open that up for professional players.
Well, I mean,
Michael Jordan had a little of that when he was with the
Jeter too.
Yeah,
Jeter too. Jeter actually, I remember when he was with the Yankees, when he would actually open up, which was very rarely, he would literally say, I want to own a team. And then he walked away once he did, right? Because he ultimately didn't like it. He said, well, the direction's not the same. I think he just didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, a lot of discussions about the Yankees bringing him in to do stuff and things like that. Because, he's still at heart a Yankee.
He's
and
the
so
ultimate Yankee.
Yeah,
he is. I mean, it's hard to not being associated. Look, the Yankees changed their broadcasting team this year, and they brought in Cameron Maybin, right? Who I love, and he's great. But he was a Yankee 1 year, so Jeter is kind of
a grandfather,
kind of ideally built for it. Okay, so as we close, here's the final thing: the Yankees lost, by the way, of course.
I'm sorry.
Managed once again to score no runs whatsoever. And the Guardians are up 6-3, bottom of the 8th, 2 outs, and they're at Cleveland. So,
and it's
runners on second and third.
For the Guardians or for
the Guardians.
Good. All right.
They're in Cleveland, second and third, 2 outs. Guardians up 6-3.
Awesome.
So you can find out the final score probably 5 minutes after we close the show.
I will do that.
Well, by the way. That's a nice little jacket there. You got the Seismic, Under Armour.
Seismic.
Oh, Seismic. I always struggle with that because of that social media company that bought years ago. It's Seismic.
You know what's
they were French because they were French.
That
we definitely play on the word.
Right, Louis Lemieux.
We play on the word, and I'm trying to get my head around it. we have events called Wave. We have an event called Activity. We have an event called
7.8.
Shift. All the plays on Seismic. So,
Richter.
by the way,
you have an
speaking
event
of
called
which-
Richter.
Andy Richter is going to be the host of your next.
Right.
That's funny. Speaking of which, next week there's going to be some big announcements coming from us.
Okay.
I think it's April 27th. Maybe I can pop on for a minute or two and talk about it, but there'll be some messaging, some announcements, some good stuff.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to just tell us now? Nobody else is listening. So.
That's right. So
Cool.
we do. All right. So we do have one last thing that we want to announce next week's guest. But I think you'll be very interested in this. So that, of course, is our big announcement on the 28th. So we have the venerable, although I think he's actually too young to be venerable, but he's respected enough to be venerable. His name, the venerable Joe Pine, who is actually the creator of the experience economy that everybody is now using. He is, and by the way, is a diehard Yankees fan, even though he lives in Minnesota.
What a shock.
Yeah. And Joe is, of course, literally the guy who shaped the whole industry. And the whole existence of CX is based on what he has done over the years. And to be fair, his co-author, James Gilmore. So Joe will be our guest next week, and we'll be talking about what he's done, what he's up to, and so on and so forth. So we'll have a really lovely show, and hopefully lots of people will attend.
Very nice.
And
in the meantime,
thank you for having me on, gentlemen.
Oh, we love having you.
Absolutely.
You're awesome, man. And next time we have you, though, we need to party a little bit.
Well, you know my promise to get to DC here in the next couple of months.
All right. So maybe what we'll do then is we'll do a Players episode from the basement.
The
Brent
man.
and I have done that. Yeah, the man
Brent,
cave.
where do
Brent
you
and I have,
live, Brent? Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta Metro, a little south of the main.
we'll make it all
area.
work. We'll make something work.
Get
Cool.
All right.
some of the crew together.
Yes.
Assemble
right.
the crew. You could just put out a proclamation. I summons thee.
That's right. And when you click the clicker, they'll show up. They'll teleport.
Wow. All right. So on behalf of Hayden, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we can't say goodbye until we say hello to Minnie.
What a beautiful corgi.
And by
Hi,
the way,
Minnie.
shout out to Ann Chen for big promotion, SVP level promotion at Salesforce. Okay, see you later.